Where it come from?
Oh, Michael. I wanted on the record. I was the first one to ask if Michael was okay when this news came through.
Yeah, I checked on him.
This was quite shocking considering where we left things for the weekend. But Michael, obviously we heard some thoughts from you. But how upset are you about this hire?
Well, listen, and what I'm talking about there is there's so many more levels. Of course, we're losing on the football field because you got two NFC East teams in an NFC East game, and we haven't been in that game in 30 years. I talk about 40 years as a generation, and that means this back end of the Cowboys fan club, they've never really had that championship story. So if we're going to pass down the great history of a great franchise to keep it alive forever, even years beyond you, then you got to have connectivity. And you're not giving this generation anything to connect to. Now, Dion, win, lose, or draw, he's connected with this young generation, even in the social media. And I use the reality, empires do fall. Sears and Roebuck used to own everything. But they wouldn't take all of their items out of that little book and put it on the internet. Oh, you could have been Amazon before Amazon, but you were too damn rigid to move, and now you're gone. Blockbuster was the same way. You could have beat Netflix to Netflix, but you was too rigid. And right here, the Cowboys stayed rigid. And rigid is not good because you're not flexible. What's going to change now? You hire from within. How can you bring discipline to these guys when these guys said, dude, we put you in that seat? So now if I start saying I'm going to penalize you guys or fine you guys for the bad penalties and all of that stuff, they're going to say, man, shut up, man. You know you joking. You playing. They won't take it seriously. It's a problem all the way around for what's now and what's coming later. I hope to pray I am wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But I got too many championships to believe I'm wrong. You know what I mean? I know what it takes. And this
Run that back one more time. You said what?
Yeah, it's true. It's what we just talked about. We just talked about it. Patrick Mahomes said right after that second Super Bowl, he was already thinking about the third. It takes that kind of thinking. Yeah. I told y'all, when I saw Travis Kelce at the basketball game, the first thing he asked me, man, what can we do to get that third Super Bowl? You bring in a guy that's never really called plays, or not calling plays, didn't call the plays last year. Now, not only he's calling plays, he got the whole responsibility of lifting and controlling and discipline and setting everybody in motion. It's almost impossible to think that it's not his fault. It's not his fault. That's within his ability. And if he didn't have any experience, this was the time to take that leap, step a little bit farther, and take that Dion. Make that Dion higher if you were going in this direction. That I was disappointed with.
Michael said I didn't want too much to ask anybody.
Yeah, you got, what, 4 or 5?
It looked like, to me, they threw in the white flag. Like, seriously. Like, it looks like the Cowboys are in a transitional period right now. I think Jerry doesn't want to spend the money. He wants control. And he probably sees a team and a roster right now that's probably not going to win a Super Bowl as constructed. And so if you're not going to do that, make the roster moves, then why spend money on a high-profile coach or, you know, somebody who can turn the organization around? I really don't know. I'm confused just as much as you, Michael, Key. I mean, just as much as the world is confused with this hire. It doesn't make any sense. And all I can give you is maybe he sees the future. And right now, the Cowboys are in a transitional moment to where they probably going to have to start to look to rebuild.
You know, Michael's one of the top 5, I guess, whatever the number would be, where he ranks in Cowboy history of the greatest Cowboys to ever, you know, Ring of Honor, Hall of Fame, the whole deal, 3 Super Bowl champions. So he understands, and I played in Dallas 2 years, have a little bit of understanding, but not the same understanding as him, what it takes as a Dallas Cowboy to win a championship. Michael should be furious. He should be mad as hell, disappointed, especially when one of your closest friends is a coach in this business that has a resume and has shown that he can instill discipline and get things done, although not on the pro level, but on the college level as a head coach, but on the pro level as a player who understood what it took to win championships, whether it was in San Francisco, whether it was in Dallas, whether it was Major League Baseball, whatever the case may be. Nothing taken away from Schottenheimer, whatever. Brian Schottenheimer, in-house. That's what you want to do it. But here's a guy who's been fired as an offensive coordinator from every offensive coordinating post he's ever had. They moved on from him to the point where Mike McCarthy decided to get rid of Kellen Moore and call plays himself. He didn't get rid of Kellen Moore and say, hey, you Shotty, you call him. He said, no. If I'm going to get fired, I'm going to do it myself. He didn't even have enough trust to hire him as his offensive coordinator, only by title, but not by calling. Okay, title and game planning and helping me game plan is different than when I get in the game and the lights come on, you're going to call it. Now, allegedly, they're going to hire Matt Eberflus as the defensive coordinator. A guy who was just fired, okay, from Chicago. Although 2-3 years in Indy, his defense was in the top 10 in yards per game, points per game, category top 10. It's fine. Whatever the case may be within that division. This is a different division you're going in with two juggernauts that we just saw play in the NFC Championship game with young quarterbacks that's dynamic on the ground and in the air. So it's a whole lot of moving pieces that the Dallas Cowboys have got to think about as they hire the staff around him. And like Michael said, when you hire from within, it's very difficult to get the players that's there to respond to the coach that is now taking over. It's very difficult, especially if you had issues. This isn't hiring Norv Turner, who was with Jimmy Johnson and understands what the culture is going to be in Dallas. Who doesn't understand that. When you go and you take a guy who's there as a coach that's seen all the mess that has gone on, and now, like Michael said, you go and you want to tell a player to do something, you know, they're going to say, man, be quiet, man. You just was in a cubicle last week. Nobody don't want to hear that. It's almost like hiring an interim coach that ain't going to get the job. That's essentially what it is.
Bringing in a sub-teacher.
You're bringing in a sub-teacher.
Woo, that's not the flex you think it is. I think he decided to stay in-house because Jerry likes to be in control. Jerry is not somebody who's going to learn new tricks, and he's not going to admit his faults. This is an unpopular hire because you had a Super Bowl winning head coach who was at the helm when Dak Prescott had his best year of his career. They won 12 games, 3 years in a row. We're in position to go to the postseason. You got to get to the dance first before you ever have an opportunity to wipe away these 30-year woes. He's been doing things his way, Jerry has, for a very long time, despite overwhelming, almost scientific evidence that you need to go in a different direction and make a change. 30 years, 3 decades is quite a lot of time of doing something the same way and getting the same results for you to not take a moment to think, maybe we should remix a little bit. And instead of doing that, he let a certified good head coach with a resume walk out the door and replace him with essentially an interim head coach.
Essentially. With
the pitch that this is an edgy hire because he's inexperienced. That is not what anyone wants to hear. I thought this was the moment. I truly did. One thing Jerry's great at, he's good at manipulating the media. I am part of the media, and he got me. I thought this was the moment. They've had a little taste of success in the past few years. I thought this was finally going to be the time that they really went all in on something, and they didn't. They don't sign free agents despite Dallas being this big star pitch place. They don't sign free agents. What was the best big free agent signing that they've had? Brandon Carr in 2012?
And how much would Dion have?
Terrell Owens in 1995? This whole thing that, it's Dallas and people are going to want to come to Dallas. They don't sign anybody anyway. They don't make any moves in the offseason. They built through the draft. It's all just smoke and mirrors. Ooh, we do this. No, you don't. You don't do that. You don't go all in. You don't take chances. You don't move the needle forward.
He's taking a chance.
Yeah, if I understand what the words mean that just came out of Jerry's face, that is not what it is. The Cowboys are no different than the Miami Dolphins. I say this with the self-awareness of what it is. No one cares about the perfect season anymore. We love it. That's a part of the history. That can't be the pitch. It can't be that we were once this dynasty. You are not anywhere close to that. You can't even get to the Super Bowl. The Eagles have been to the Super Bowl in your division. That's what I'm saying. They've been to the Super Bowl in your division 2 of the last 3 years. The Cowboys haven't been to the NFC Championship game. Forget a Super Bowl. You got a whole 3 weeks that you're jumping ahead of that you haven't completed. This is not about branding. It's not about the America's team. As Michael said, is a whole generation. There are whole adults with children and mortgages and the minivans with the popcorn on the floor that have never seen the Cowboys be great. This is all pitching, and it doesn't even align. It doesn't even make sense. Go make an edgy move that is deserving of the Dallas Cowboys being called America's team. Go be aggressive, and instead you're sitting here telling us that you hired someone from within. You just let the coach go. None of these coaches should even be on the board to be hired as the head coach if you let Mike McCarthy go. It doesn't. It's very in line actually with what Jerry does. It's all branding.
Why did he stay in house, Michael? What did he
Listen,
do that?
and we're talking a lot of things. I just don't even know. There's nothing against this man. I really don't know him personally, and God Almighty, I hope he's been showing a lamb and there's a lion in there somewhere that comes out and roar and do something on the football field. But I doubt it. I doubt that
his dad was a pretty good lion. His dad was a pretty good lion.
So it's no longer.
But that's what they got to do with the price of tomatoes, because the dad.
No, I was just saying. I was thinking out loud.
Why?
I was saying I was just
Eggs
thinking
are
out
still
loud.
expensive, Keyshawn.
No, I was just thinking out. No, I was thinking out loud. I was like, "Where's Dad?" And maybe their DNA comes out because you said,
Even on the other end.
I don't think so.
Even on the other end that you guys talk about the free agencies and Jerry hasn't signed them because he's trying to get a deal or don't want to put up that kind of money. This was the help that he needed.
Mm-hmm.
You could get guys that want to come and play if you had signed Deion, and you can get them for some less money because they would have wanted to be a part of it. There's so many ways you missed the boat in this, and a man that's this shrewd never misses the boat. That's why I was so shocked.
But also, even if you weren't going to get Prime, which putting the idea out there that you were going to hire Prime,
Flirting with him.
anyone other than him was going to be slightly disappointing. But even if that wasn't the case, right? He doesn't want to come. It's not aligning. Fine. There are so many hires that have been hired this hiring round. There are guys available that could still be like, hey, you know what? It wasn't Prime, but Vrabel makes sense. Like Vrabel makes sense. I could work with that. Ben Johnson makes sense. Aaron Glenn makes sense. If you're talking about hiring somebody who hasn't had a head coaching experience before, that happens every single year. That's not edgy. Hiring someone from a staff where the head coach just left is not. How do you make that math?
But everything you just said about those coaches and this coaching cycle that got hired, they all had success in coordinating. All of them had success.
No, we're saying the same thing. I'm saying that those guys.
You could have ran out John Gruden. I would have jumped up
we're
and
getting
down.
crazy.
Well, now you're getting a little.
I would have done. I got something. I would have said he
I'm
walked
getting
the walk.
emotional.
I would have said he walked the walk.
We walked
We walked the
understand.
walk. Yeah, I just needed something better.
Yeah, Michael. Look, Michael.
I would have picked it.
Hold up, man.
We're not gonna hit the wall like that.
I'm like stuttering and fumbling and bumbling over my words because I don't know why they stayed with it.
I'm telling you why.
Oh, is it back to they? It's no longer us.
Oh, they. I don't have nothing to do with it.
But last week it was we. Wasn't it? Remember, it was our Cowboys last week.
Our Cowboys with Deion Sanders on the sidelines. My Raiders with Pete Carroll. My New York Jets with Aaron Glenn. It makes sense.
Right. But no more our Cowboys.
Oh, no. But here's what I say. Maybe, I don't know the conversation, but maybe he's looking to 2026 with Deion and saying, let's just look at this year, and if it don't go well, I'll cut bait and I'll bring in Deion. I don't know. Maybe you look at, I don't know. I'm just trying to find words.
I don't really need to think that hard. You can look at the hires that Jerry has made since Jimmy Johnson left the building. They're very reflective of what's happening right now. That's what I'm saying. It's all smoke and mirrors. He isn't going all in. He isn't taking the leap. Even him saying, like, oh, I don't like to be out of my comfort zone. Look, I'm hiring someone who doesn't have any experience. That's not a thing. Like making a mistake and then taking a risk on, not saying that this will end up being a mistake, but taking a risk on someone that you, from a staff that you just let walk out the door is not an explanation. What this looks like is there was no plan, like Keyshawn said.
Right.
There was no plan. So let's stir up a story with Dion Sanders that we're going to potentially hire him and maybe have those conversations. we're not going to go all in on that direction. We're going to stay safe. We're going to hire someone who's been in the building that we know doesn't have the juice to move the needle with anyone. Right. And that's the whole problem that Michael had with McCarthy, is that he's not standing on business with the players and with the organization. So if he wasn't, why would somebody that works for Mike McCarthy be able to do that?
But even if he, like Michael said, though, but even if he decided to flip, it ain't going to work. Because the players see that. They're like, man,
of course, that's what I'm saying.
Get out my
if they weren't listening to Mike McCarthy in a disciplinary sense, why would they feel that way?
And he hadn't dealt with the pressure.
The top players endorsed Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, they did.
Right? He hadn't dealt with the pressure that he's about to get. Every time he's driving, that's what he's going to hear about, the job he's doing and what's going on. His whole family going to have to deal with it. I'm telling you, this could be ugly to watch as it goes on. I hope and pray that somehow they find a way. Or some guys on the team just say, hey, we don't care about the coach. We don't care about what the coach said we're going to win. I doubt we're going to find that dude, too. But that's what's going to happen.
You know, you got two really good teams in that division that just was playing
very
the
good team.
championship.
Yeah, very good teams. It's just, I'm telling you, I'm worried about this.
The two best teams in the NFC this year are in their division.
Yep. And all the way around, young quarterbacks. Going to have those dual threat young quarterbacks for a couple years and through his time. I'm just telling you, this can be ugly. I hope not. Well,
no one. Well, I shouldn't say that. People do hate the Cowboys, so there are some people that are hoping this is a failure.
Oh no, no. There's a lot of people that hoping this is a disaster.
I think Eagles fans and Commanders fans are actually quite happy with the choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to work. I need Mike happy though. I need Mike happy.
Yeah. I need me happy too.
Yeah, that's of course. That's why I was.
I personally don't feel good about it. Just because of everything you saying, Joy, you stay within, the players listening to him, you got rid of the coach that probably should have still been the coach based on the injuries and all the different things. It's going to take a lot.
And when does that ever work, too? Because I was thinking, looking back over some things, and it was maybe, would you say the Rams?
No,
the
George
Rams?
Seifert.
George
Seifert and Bill Walsh. Staying within and hiring the dude.
Mike Marks got Rams to a Super Bowl.
Mike Marks kind of sort of worked with Mike Marks.
Right, because he took over. Yeah, but man, Mike Marks was calling the plays.
But I was about to say, Mike Marks was calling the plays.
The design behind
and he had the same stick that Dick Vermeil had. He was the same guy. So in the end, if that's the same guy and you complaining about the discipline and the different things, and he's learning from Mike McCarthy, and then he's going to try to switch over to something different, players going to see right through that. It won't be received whatever.
I just think if something is done consistently, time and time again, and you expect a different result, there is a definition for it.
The Dallas Cowboys.
Exactly. I was going to say insanity, but we should just switch it around.
Dallas Cowboys.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.